Hello, everybody. This is your Build Your Biz Blab, and I'm your host, Kirsten McKay Smith. And each week, I am bringing you an expert in business, entrepreneurship, marketing, anything to help you build your business and create your ideal business. I'm always trying to, not trying, I'm always doing this. I'm always working on bettering myself as a person and as a business owner. And I love to learn from the best. So today we are interviewing from Beachbody, Leigh Ann. And Leigh Ann, how do you say your last name? Gavayan. Yep. I wasn't even going to try it. I thought I'd just ask you.
Yeah, most people don't.
So I have Leigh Ann's bio right here, and I want to read it to you guys. It is impressive. So Leigh Ann is an ultra running mom of 4. She is the wife to Mike for 17 years. So those two things are equally impressive. And she's a fitness and nutrition enthusiast. She lost over 100 pounds and became a 100-mile ultra runner by training with Beachbody programs and drinking Shakeology, all in 3 years. She has also earned 8 100-mile buckles in the process. If you guys don't know what that means, basically she ran 8 100-mile runs. And these are on trails, so they take like 20, 30, 40 hours. Just to put it in perspective, if you guys have no idea what all that means, it's amazing. She's been a Beachbody coach for 3.5 years and has created an elite team 2 times and is a success legend in Success Club 10. She's an all-star legend, which means she's made Success Club 10 every month for over 24 months. So all impressive. Weight loss journey, running journey, being married 17 years, and as a Beachbody coach. So I am super glad that you agreed to doing this interview. So thank you, Leigh Ann, for being here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I would love to hear first a little bit about your journey, why you became a Beachbody coach and what that looked like for you. And give us as much detail as you wish to share.
Okay, sounds good. Well, as you know, and you can hear from my bio, I'm into endurance, whether it's marriage, children, running, all that fun stuff. My journey actually started about 15 years ago. I found myself at a highest weight that I had ever been. I was 240 pounds. I was depressed, miserable, full of anxiety. And I was having what I call my quarter life crisis, around 25, where you are like, oh my God, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I had just newly became married, and I knew that what I wanted to do in life was I wanted to be a mom. At that point in my life, I was a teacher and I was still working with kids, but I knew my passion was to become a mom. And I knew that I could not become a mom or get pregnant at 240 pounds, that would just be not a good idea for my own health. And because I struggled with weight all my life, I knew that I needed, in order to be a good mom, I needed to lose that weight so I could be physically active with them, but also teach them health and nutrition. So I started my journey. I did Weight Watchers back then, and literally just walking, lost about 90 pounds in a year, which was great and fantastic. Then got pregnant right away, and then busted out 4 kids in 7.5 years. So we know what that's like, that's hell on the bottom.
No, we don't. Most people don't know what that's like.
So as you can imagine, I fell into what I call the mommy trap, which is, you're devoting every breathing, waking moment to your children. You're nurturing them, taking care of them, and you kind of forget about yourself. During that time in my life, my first son was actually diagnosed on the autism spectrum. So not only did I have a son that was on the spectrum, but I had an 18-month-old who was then showing signs of the same thing. So I basically just sunk my time and my energy into into those two. I ate really quick, fast, cheap, easy meals because honestly, I was in survival mode at that point in my life. Then had two more, those two last children, and my husband actually got a job transfer from Philadelphia to San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about taking a leap of faith. We have been together since we were 14 years old. So we're high school sweethearts. We decided to up and pick up our entire family and move across the country. And I landed in San Francisco and realized that I needed to find myself really, really quick. And I started to teach myself to run because honestly, that was the only thing I could do indoors because I didn't have a babysitter. So we bought a treadmill. I got into running. I started with just literally couch to 5K. The weight started coming off, but not as much as I had liked. So I started teaching myself to run longer distances. That was also kind of my personal time to kind of, they say running is your therapy. I was really beginning to find myself and figure out why I had struggled with weight for so long. And I'll get to that part in a little bit. But really what happened was I fell in love with running. I trained myself in a year to go from running nothing to running marathons, and got to the point where I wasn't cross training. I had no idea what cross training was. I actually met Mike through a Facebook page. She had just qualified for Boston using Insanity, had insane results. And I figured, hey, this girl knows what she's doing. I'm going to ask her, maybe there's something I can do at home. So we got connected. We talked about what my goals were. And I love strength training, like absolutely love it. I get all my cardio from running, but I love weights. So she convinced me to do P90X, along with my husband, who I drug along this journey with me. And we're grateful that we did this. He actually did P90X with me for the full 90 days and lost 65 pounds himself.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, right? I lost the rest of my baby weight. And from that point on, I knew that these programs were golden because I didn't do anything during P90X as far as running. 5 days after I was done P90X, I went and ran a marathon, the San Francisco Marathon, and PR'd it by 30 minutes. So just goes to show you, you can do anything you put your mind to, but it's important that you take care of your body in the appropriate ways as well. So I learned a big lesson that cross training was going to play a huge part in my running. From that point on, I got into ultra running. I made it a goal for myself to complete 5 100-milers my first year of running so I could earn a belt buckle for every single one of my children and my husband. That was my goal. That's what I set out to do. I did achieve that. But here's the crazy thing. When I signed up to do P90X, I signed up as a discount coach. I really needed to work on myself. And in the process of working on myself, sharing my journey, I realized that I had this huge audience and potential to help change thousands of people's lives. Not only did I have experience of going from being 240 pounds to 135 pounds, but I also knew what it took to train to be an athlete, an endurance athlete, a runner, and the importance of cross training. So I'm in a lucky position. I don't have to work. My husband has a really awesome job, but I decided that I was going to try to help people and help as many people as I could. And that's when I made the switch going from discount coach to a working coach. And it was the best decision of my entire life.
Whew, that is amazing story and an amazing journey. So what was it that I don't know how to ask this question. What was it that made that decision? Like what got you from a hobby discount coach to want to work the business?
Absolutely. That's a really good question because I realized that I had the potential to help many people, but here's the thing. I had a really awesome upline. Okay. My coach actually does not have an upline. So she started basically her own business. But we were adopted by other uplines who decided to help mentor and coach us. And the best thing you can do for yourself when building a business is to watch other successful people. Watch how they build, watch what they do, learn from them. And that's exactly what I did. I would sit back and, they say success leaves clues. I would watch successful coaches. My mentor was Chris Reed and Cody Reed and Dave and Monica Ward. And I would watch and listen to what they were doing and how they were doing it. And at the same time, I was building confidence in myself by doing a lot of personal development. And I watched them change their lives, which was pretty amazing. Chris Reed, I watched him going from being a full-time, police officer to running and retiring and becoming a full-time coach. I was able to watch my own personal coach do the same thing. And I realized here I have this awesome opportunity to help all these people. But at the same time, I have an awesome opportunity to create some really epic experiences for my family. I love to travel. And that was one of my go-to things was if I can help as many people as I can create myself a pretty epic life too. I don't have to sit back and watch everybody else do it.
Right. So you were a discount coach, but you were kind of thinking about, you wanted to build a business, but you didn't have the confidence.
Absolutely. I was a mom of four who I will tell you all the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just working on my journey. Even how I train my team, if you are working on yourself, if you're doing your program, if you're drinking your Shakeology and you're sharing it daily, you're doing your personal development and you're getting out in the world and talking to people and sharing what you're learning and sharing what you're doing, you can't help be successful. You become a product of the product, right. And that's exactly how I evolved. I became a product of the product and my husband became a product of the product. And once I realized the potential of that and how I could help change people, then that's when I said 9 months into being a discount coach, I need to go all in. I need to do this. And how am I going to do that?
Right. So when you have coaches sign up and they say to you, oh, I'm just signing up for the discount, do you still plug them into all your groups and trainings so that they can see what you saw?
Absolutely. The best gift ever given to me was the ability to watch from the sidelines. Okay. I say that all the time. So I take my coaches, whether they're discount or not, and put them into my normal team page, which is they're welcome to be on team calls. They're welcome to be on team trainings, whatever they want. They can take part in that. I also, because I am their coach, my number one priority is making sure that they're working on themselves. So I have a coach challenge group that they are all in together and they report in daily with their workouts, their nutrition, because that's the number one thing. As soon as you fall off of taking care of yourself, it becomes next to impossible of building a business because this business is built based off of consistency. You can't come and go. You have to be all in and show up every day, whether you feel like it or not.
Yes, I agree. Great. So of all the personal growth you've done and learning about yourself and working on yourself, what are some resources for people who want that but aren't really sure where to start that have been really helpful for you?
Let's see. I'm a huge believer in personal development. So if you can get yourself in and figuring out, and everybody's different in what they need, whether it's confidence building, whether it's learning motivation, whether it's learning to lead, whether it's their own personal issues that they're dealing with at home, getting involved with personal development, whether it's books, Audible, podcast, just feed your brain with that nutrition and that knowledge, and you can't help but grow. Other things, is investing time into learning, doing trainings online. I mean, there's tons of resources and trainings that you can invest in that don't cost thousands of dollars that you can put into learning to be able to to learn how to grow a business. Because frankly, like I said, I was a mom of 4 who didn't know what I was doing. I had to kind of learn how to use social media and how to connect with people. So that would definitely be a tip. And then another tip is stay engaged with your upline and your team all the time. You know, show up every day, whether you feel like it or not. Get on team calls, whether you think you can or not. The most successful people in this business are people who don't make excuses. You know, I find the people who make excuses and are like, oh, well, I can't get on a call because it's sucker season. Then, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's a business. And so owning up to where you are and where you want to go is definitely a huge thing too. And that takes personal growth. You know, it takes some people to get there. But if they keep working on themselves, they will. Right.
I love that. Taking personal responsibility, in my opinion, is one of the number one things that defines a successful person and your path to success. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I completely agree. So what are your personal favorite books, audios, podcasts? You know, what are some things that you feed your brain with on a regular basis?
All right. Good topic for me. Personal development to me is something very personal. How I train my team. And I'm going to share a little bit of a story real quick. I went from being a diamond to a 5-star diamond strictly because I believed that the personal development that I put into my very first year is the reason why that happened. Remember how I said before that I was struggling with things and trying to figure out why I had, you know, eating issues or weight issues in the past and all of that. Well, personal development, and I say honestly, Beachbody saved my life with teaching me the skills of personal development, because we all want to know how to be a leader. We all want to know how to run a business, but we all have things inside of us that we need to work on first in order for us to be wholehearted, giving, loving people to others. So for me, in my personal development, I realized that for 30 years, I had suffered with an eating disorder. And I had to get that taken care of first. I had to deal with the issues of why I developed that. So for me, here's what happened. I invested the time and energy into what I needed to take care of myself at that point in time. But here's the residual effect of that. My team was watching me grow. They were watching the value of personal development. So what did they do? They did the exact same thing. They figured out what they needed to work on in their lives that was stopping them from being successful. And when they did that, they grew. And then what happened? Their team followed and grew. So I will never tell anyone, oh, go listen to this podcast or this podcast. I believe wholeheartedly that it's a very personal issue and that you really have to dig deep into what you need to work on. So some people might have, you know, motivational. I don't know how to lead or motivate people, you know, then I would say go hit John Maxwell or go hit Lewis Howes or, you know, giving them certain areas. And then some people still are working on themselves. You know, they might have marriage issues or whatever. Work on that, you know, because if you're working on yourself, you're constantly going to grow. And that's the whole objective of all of this. When you're growing and sharing yourself, it's law of attraction. You're going to pull in the people who need to hear what you're saying and need to learn what you're learning. And that's how you build relationships in this business. You know, you're going to connect with somebody who needs to learn what you're learning at that point in time. Right. And then technically how your business will then grow because you're creating those connections.
Right. So what if somebody comes to you and they're like, I don't know what I need help in. I just am not where I want to be. You know,
then I dig deep. Then I like to dig deep. I do get personal with them. I will sit and ask them why they feel like they're failing. I will ask them what their goals are. I will ask them what their actions are to getting to those goals. 9 times out of 10, it's usually time management. It's usually not realizing the value of prioritizing. So I can definitely give them books like Eat That Frog or, you know, different types of things like that. So it really does, for me, when it comes to my own team, comes down to personalizing, what their exact issue is, or helping them realize what it could possibly be, and just kind of gearing them towards that.
And do you only do that if they come to you, or do you go to people and say, you're not making your goals that you told me you wanted to make? Do you want to figure out why, or, how do you approach that?
I do a little of both, and it depends, because I believe in respecting people's personal journeys as well. I understand that not everybody is ready to build this big giant business, and nor should they feel like they have to until they're at a certain point. So really depending on who it is, but I do all the time. Like tonight, we're doing a whole call on how to be a leader, So I'll hit certain topics or subjects that I feel that the team might be struggling on, or areas of development that they need, and I will hold and run trainings for those. Or if I don't know the answers, then I will find a fellow leader to do a call or to do a training for the team. But it's constantly, personal development is just a huge part of our team. So even in our daily challenge pages and how we communicate with one another, we're constantly sharing what we're reading, what we're doing. Because if I don't have an answer, then one of my other coaches will have an answer of, oh, I read this book 6 months ago. Here, try reading this.
Right.
So it's just open dialogue all the time.
Okay. Well, all this is amazing. I love personal growth. I am a huge personal growth junkie. And so I like to hear confirmation that I'm on the right path, and that, there's other people who, I aspire to be like and as successful as, who did it in that way, because I believe in that wholeheartedly. So do you ever come across people who they don't quite understand yet that personal growth is the answer, and they're not willing to go there? What do you do with those people?
I continue to gently nudge them, and honestly lead by example. You can't help but watch somebody's life change because of something, of something that they read or something that they shared. So I gently nudge them. I do try to do things that might encourage them. Like, I'll do book giveaways, or do a book reading club, different things like that, will encourage them. But here's the thing. You can't force someone to do something they don't want to do. They have to find it deep within themselves to want to better themselves. And my personality being a pearl, wanting to nurture and take care of everybody, that can be hard for me. But I also understand that, it's not necessarily my job, just like it wasn't my coach's job to help me figure out everything I needed to figure out as far as my own health and recovery. But having the support and the care and the knowledge constantly at my fingertips is what made the difference for me. So anybody who's building a team, focusing on personal development, giving them book lists to use, keeping in the file section of your team page, all of those things, it makes it accessible for them for when they're ready. Right.
So is there anything that you would recommend for people who, like, I know you said, it's all very individual, but what if somebody is watching this and they're thinking, I don't even understand what personal growth is. Like, I don't know what a podcast is. I don't know what my issues are. Like, I don't even know where to start. Is there like a simple something you would recommend?
Yep. I would say do a brain dump. Sit down with a pen and a paper and give yourself 5 minutes to write everything that you're feeling, whether it's words, and think about your struggles, think about your weaknesses, think about the great things that you can do, think about areas that you want to improve on. Brain dumping is one of the quickest, easiest activities. Then what I usually share is, once you get that brain dump, prioritize. What's most important to you to take care of? What do you think's holding you back right now? And then focus on those areas. You have to cut it down in small chunks. I mean, we're all imperfectly imperfect, you know? So we all have to prioritize what's the most that we need to get working on and go from there. So the brain dump is really one of the easiest ways to do that. And, you know, outside of getting, you know, having a counselor or someone to do, that's one of my best suggestions is just do a brain dump and then get on the phone with your coach or your sponsor or a best friend or whoever and kind of talk it out. And here's the other thing. Sometimes we're scared to get feedback from others. Ask your partner or your spouse or your best friend, you know, ask for constructive criticism. What is an area that you think I can work on? Because sometimes we need to hear that. You know, we have it in our heads that, you know, that we're doing something wrong when really, in fact, we're not. We might be doing something else wrong. And we need to kind of have that constructive criticism to be able to work on those areas of our life.
Yeah, I did that last year. Just be ready, you guys. If you, I asked my spouse, I'm like, so what are some things you think might be holding me back from being successful? And some of the things he said, it was funny because, I mean, there are things you kind of know, but there's still for him to say, like, you're almost like, you think that of me? He's like, no, I don't think that of you. I see that's how you are in your business. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's interesting. I think that's a great thing to do. And ask someone you trust, ask somebody who will be straight with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've asked people before some things and they go, and they tell me all the nice things they think I want to hear. I'm like, no, I honestly don't want to hear those things.
Yep. Here's one of the best. My husband and I just had this discussion this week because I'm getting ready to make my goals for 2016 for my family and my business. And, you know, as leaders, no matter where you are, you always have that fear, you know, fear of failure. We think in our heads. But as I was talking to one of my mentors this week, she said, here's a great question to ask yourself when you're thinking about where you want to go and how you want to do things. Are you really fearing failure or are you fearing success? And you think about that for a little bit. You know, when you're developing a business or going to build one, what are you more fearful of? You know, are you more fearful of failing everything and anything? Or are you more fearful of what it's going to be like to feel successful? And I find that, you know, when you think about it, most of us fear being successful in a sense, you know, because we don't know what that feels like. We don't know. And so if you can kind of figure out, you know, for yourself what that is and then work on that, you will be successful.
Right. Yes, that's so true. So I want to wrap up because I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'm sure you have something to go read. But one thing that I have people say to me all the time is I've been doing my personal growth. I've been reading my book, 10 minutes a day. I've been listening to my podcast 10 minutes a day and nothing's happening. And I know we're in a society that tends to gravitate toward immediate gratification. Mm-hmm. And so it is hard sometimes. I compare it to supplements. Mm-hmm. Like if you take supplements, unless you have a huge deficiency, you're not going to see results right away. You have to be patient. So how do you, because you're very, like you said, nurturing and coddling, and that's, according to my husband, my weakness. So like, how do you help them understand that it's a journey and it'll come when it comes?
Well, our team tagline is trust the process. I even have it tattooed on my hand.
Oh my God.
And it's one of those things that you have to trust your process. You have to trust your journey. Remember I said, you got to show up every day, whether you feel like it or not. We all hate objections. We all hate feeling like we're failing, but we're not really failing. There is a season for everything when you're doing this business. There is a season to celebrate, to have recognition, to grow. There's a season to feel like you're not going anywhere or doing anything. That's what I call my character building season. If you can embrace all those seasons of being an entrepreneur, you'll be successful. No one building a business, like if you're opening a restaurant, you're not going to open it and be successful like the very next day. Like it just doesn't happen that way. So you have to be patient. You have to be understanding. And once again, you have to understand the dynamics of especially coaching. People are watching you. They want to see that you're successful. It's built on relationships. You're not going to go date and be with somebody like 2 days after meeting them. It might take a year. It might take
well, except you did.
Yeah, well, technically, for me, I knew my coach I knew her as a friend on Facebook.
No, I was talking about your husband.
Oh, yeah, my husband, yeah. Well, I said I'm all about endurance, and it's the same thing in this business. You have to be in it for the long haul. You have to be in it. And once you start seeing the relationships that you're building and that they do come back, and that's why I say you have to trust. Like I had a woman come to me 2 days ago that has been following me for 2 years. She's been a follower, not a friend. She doesn't post on any of my posts, but she's like, I need help. Can you help me? You just never know. People are watching all the time. But if you stop being consistent and you give up, not only are you giving up on yourself and your dreams for your family, but you're giving up on the people out there that you did not give a chance for them to reach out to you. So you have to get out of your own head and you have to stop thinking that it's about you, because it's not. It's about respecting other people's journeys and being there for when they are ready.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I totally want to stop there because that is gold. So thank you so much for doing this. I will send you a recording if you wanted to share it with any of your team at all. Perfect. And then, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I hope all of you guys watching it got as much out of it as I did. And I hope you are excited to pick up your headphones, grab your phone, get on your podcast. Book. I know I'm a podcast junkie. So, and I drive a lot. So it's perfect for me to listen to books and podcasts and stuff like that. So thank you again so much. And everybody have an awesome time. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Leigh Ann.
Thank you.